There comes a time in every relationship when the signs begin to speak louder than the words. Love, when it's alive, feels effortless. It shows itself in the little things, in the way someone treats you, protects you, and chooses you day after day. But when that love begins to fade, it's not always spoken directly. Instead, it hides in silence, distance, and the things that stop happening. If you've ever felt like something has shifted, like the energy is no longer the same, then you need to pay close attention. Because when love is gone, the actions, or the lack of them, will always tell the truth. When love fades, the very first and most noticeable change comes in the way he handles time. Time is one of the most valuable gifts anyone can give because it can't be bought back, it can't be borrowed, and it can't be replaced. When someone truly cares about you, no matter how hectic life gets, they will carve out moments just to be present. Even if the day is full of responsibilities, even if work is demanding, or family pulls them in different directions, they will find a way to show up for you because that's what love does. It prioritizes you. But when love begins to slip away, time starts to shrink, and suddenly you find yourself waiting for a call that never comes, a message that used to appear instantly now left unread for hours, or plans that once felt natural now constantly being delayed. It's not about being busy, because people always make time for what matters to them. It's about the shift in importance, where once you were central, now you're optional. You'll notice that what used to be small gestures of effort start disappearing. The quick check-ins during the day, the shared moments before bedtime, or the simple, "I miss you," that used to brighten your heart. Those vanish slowly, leaving behind a silence that feels heavier with each passing day. And even when there is time available, it's no longer offered to you. Instead, you find him investing those hours elsewhere, with friends, with hobbies, or even alone, but without the thought of sharing it with you. That's when you realize that the distance is not about schedules or obligations. It's about the heart no longer longing for your presence. When a man stops giving you his time, he stops giving you his energy, his attention, and his care. Love is not proven in grand gestures alone. It's proven in consistency, in the little moments that say, "You matter to me." Once those little things are gone, the relationship begins to feel lopsided. You may catch yourself being the one who initiates, who reaches out, who asks for time together, while he responds with excuses, delays, or indifference. That imbalance is the loudest signal of all, because in truth, when someone truly loves you, no excuse is big enough to keep them away. But when the love is gone, every excuse becomes valid, and time, the very essence of connection, becomes the first thing he stops giving you. Care is one of the purest forms of love, and when it begins to vanish, the change is impossible to ignore. In the beginning, you could feel it in the way he paid attention to your moods, in how quickly he noticed when something was wrong, or in the comfort he offered without you even having to ask. That kind of care doesn't come from obligation. It flows naturally from love. It shows up in the smallest details, like asking if you've eaten, making sure you got home safely, or remembering the little things that make you smile. When a man genuinely loves you, your well-being is his concern because your happiness directly matters to him. But when that love starts to fade, so does the care, and suddenly, the little things that once made you feel seen and protected are nowhere to be found. You might notice it first in moments when you need him the most. Times when you're feeling low, stressed, or overwhelmed, and instead of offering support, he seems distant or uninterested. Where he once asked questions to understand your feelings, now he barely listens. Where he once gave reassurance, now he brushes your emotions aside as if they're a burden. The lack of care doesn't always come as loud arguments or harsh words. It often comes as indifference, and indifference is colder than anger, because anger still shows some level of attachment, but indifference is the absence of concern altogether. Another sign is that your comfort no longer holds value in his actions. Maybe before, he would walk the extra mile just to make sure you felt secure, but now he shrugs when you're upset or dismisses your worries as overreactions. The empathy that once connected him to your heart has weakened, and in its place is a kind of distance that leaves you feeling unseen. You start realizing that you're carrying your struggles alone, even though you're supposed to be in a partnership. That loneliness is the echo of care that no longer exists. Love cannot survive without care. Care is the glue that holds intimacy together, the gentle reminder that you are valued and cherished. When it fades, the relationship begins to feel cold, even if the words, "I love you," are still spoken. Because in truth, love is not measured by what is said, it's measured by the actions that show concern for your well-being. And once that care is gone, it's one of the clearest signs that his heart has already let go. Communication is the heartbeat of any relationship, and when it begins to break down, it's one of the clearest signs that love is slipping away. In the beginning, everything felt easy. Conversations flowed without effort. Laughter filled the spaces between words, and even the quiet moments felt connected. You didn't have to force him to talk. He wanted to share. He wanted to know. He wanted to stay close through words. That's because communication is not just about exchanging information. It's about creating closeness, intimacy, and understanding. But when the love starts to fade, so does the effort to communicate, and what once felt alive now feels like silence. The first thing you notice is the lack of interest. Messages that used to be answered quickly now take hours or even days. Conversations that once went late into the night now get cut short with excuses of being tired or busy. And even when you do talk, the words feel empty. There's no enthusiasm, no curiosity, no emotional depth. It's like speaking into a void where your words fall flat and there's no effort to meet you halfway. Love fuels the desire to connect, and when that fuel burns out, communication becomes mechanical, if it happens at all. Another painful sign is that he no longer shares his world with you. Before, you knew about his day, his plans, his dreams, and even his frustrations. You were part of his inner circle, his safe place. Now, you find yourself left in the dark, hearing about things late or not at all. He no longer updates you, no longer seeks your opinion, and no longer invites you into the details of his life. That silence speaks volumes. It says that the bond you once shared is no longer sacred to him. And when problems arise, the lack of communication becomes even more destructive. Instead of addressing issues together, he avoids them, dismisses them, or shuts down completely. Where there should be problem solving, there's denial. Where there should be reassurance, there's withdrawal. Arguments that once ended with resolution now end with distance, leaving you feeling unheard and unimportant. At its core, love thrives on connection, and connection thrives on communication. When he stops trying to talk, to listen, to understand, it's not just a lack of words, it's a lack of effort to keep the bond alive. Silence becomes the loudest signal of all, and in that silence, you realize the love that once held you together is slowly fading away. Appreciation is the oxygen of a relationship, and when it disappears, the connection begins to suffocate. In the early days, every little thing you did was noticed. Your effort, your smile, your presence, it was valued. He admired the way you carried yourself. He expressed gratitude for the smallest gestures, and you could feel that your role in his life mattered. That sense of being appreciated created warmth, reassurance, and security. But when love starts to fade, appreciation is one of the first things that slips away, leaving you with the painful feeling of being invisible. At first, it might be subtle. The compliments become less frequent, the words of encouragement stop coming, and the small acknowledgements of your efforts disappear. You used to hear "thank you" or "I love how you do that," but now silence replaces those affirmations. Instead of recognizing what you bring to the relationship, he takes it for granted, as if your presence is expected rather than cherished. Over time, that silence begins to weigh on you because it sends the message that nothing you do matters anymore. Another sign is the shift in attitude. Where once he celebrated your achievements and showed pride in your growth, now he seems indifferent or worse, dismissive. What used to make him light up, your successes, your strengths, your unique qualities, now barely gets a reaction. The admiration that once bonded him to you fades, leaving behind a kind of emptiness that hurts far more than harsh words ever could. It's not that he criticizes you more, it's that he doesn't notice you at all. Indifference replaces recognition, and you start to feel like a background character in a story where you used to be the leading role. Without appreciation, the relationship starts to lose balance. Love requires effort from both sides, and when one person no longer values the other, resentment begins to build. You may find yourself giving, supporting, and showing up, but instead of being met with gratitude, you're met with silence or entitlement. That lack of acknowledgement slowly erodes your sense of worth in the relationship, leaving you questioning whether your presence even makes a difference anymore. True love never stops appreciating because appreciation is the language of respect and acknowledgement. When it's missing, it's not just about the absence of compliments. It's about the absence of recognition for who you are and what you bring. And when that recognition is gone, it's a painful confirmation that the love behind it has already begun to fade. Priorities reveal where the heart truly lies, and when love begins to fade, the shift in priorities becomes impossible to ignore. In a healthy relationship, no matter how busy life gets, the bond remains at the center. Work, responsibilities, and friendships may demand attention, but somehow effort is always made to keep the relationship alive. That's because when someone loves you, they naturally place you high on their list of importance. You don't have to fight for space. You are given it freely. But when that love weakens, you start to notice that everything else seems to matter more than you. It begins subtly, almost in ways you might dismiss at first. Plans with you are pushed aside for other commitments, excuses pile up, and you find yourself waiting, always waiting, while other people and activities take the spotlight. He suddenly has endless energy for friends, hobbies, or even distractions. But when it comes to spending time with you, he's exhausted, busy, or unavailable. It's not about the lack of time, because people always create time for what matters most. It's about the lack of willingness to prioritize you. You'll notice it not just in how time is spent, but also in decision-making. Once your needs and feelings were factored into his choices, now they're overlooked. Whether it's big life decisions or simple daily plans, your presence no longer seems to carry weight. Instead of considering you, he acts independently, as though the relationship is secondary. That shift leaves you feeling unimportant, as though you've been moved from the center of his world to the sidelines, watching everything else come before you. The painful truth is that love thrives on priority. When someone values the relationship, they actively protect it, nurture it, and choose it over convenience. When they no longer do, the neglect slowly eats away at the bond, leaving you feeling as though you're competing for attention you should never have to fight for. It's not about wanting to be the only focus. It's about knowing that you still matter enough to be chosen consistently. When priorities change and you're no longer at the top, the imbalance becomes clear. You give, but you're not given to. You wait, but he doesn't show up. And slowly, you realize that the relationship is no longer his priority. That realization, though painful, is one of the most honest reflections of where his love truly stands. When love is strong, the bond feels protected, almost sacred. Disagreements may come, challenges may appear, but there is always effort to preserve what has been built. Protecting the relationship doesn't always mean dramatic gestures. It's in the small acts of choosing peace over pride, of working through issues instead of ignoring them, of making sure distance never grows too wide. But when love begins to fade, that protective instinct disappears. Suddenly, what was once carefully guarded is left exposed, neglected, and vulnerable to falling apart. One of the first signs is the lack of effort in resolving conflicts. In the past, even after arguments, there was a desire to make things right, to talk it through, and to restore harmony. Now, silence replaces solutions. Problems are brushed aside instead of addressed. And distance lingers longer after disagreements. That unwillingness to fight for resolution reveals something deeper, that the bond no longer feels worth saving to him. Another way this shows is in the loss of accountability, where once he took responsibility for mistakes and worked to improve, now there's indifference. The effort to grow, to compromise, to meet halfway is gone. Instead of protecting the relationship from harm, he lets it weaken as though its survival no longer matters. The partnership begins to feel one-sided, where you are the one trying to hold things together while he allows them to unravel. You'll also notice that he no longer shields the relationship from outside influences. Whether it's the opinions of others, unnecessary distractions, or temptations, the boundaries that once kept the connection safe start to collapse. Where he once stood firmly with you, now he stands apart, leaving the bond unguarded. This lack of protection creates an environment where distance grows naturally because there's no effort to stop it. What makes this shift so painful is not just the neglect, it's the message behind it. When someone no longer protects the relationship, they're silently saying they no longer see it as worth the fight. Love doesn't vanish in one big moment. It fades slowly in the little ways effort stops being made. And when the effort to guard the bond disappears, it becomes the final confirmation that his heart has already let go. When love fades, it never disappears in silence. It shows itself in the absence of effort, in the things that stop happening, in the actions that once made you feel chosen but now leave you questioning your worth. The truth is, love doesn't only live in words, it lives in time given, care shown, conversations nurtured, appreciation expressed, priorities honored, and bonds protected. When these fade, it's not just the loss of habits, it's the loss of commitment, of devotion, of the heart that once beat for you. But here's what you must remember. When someone stops doing these things, it doesn't mean you are unworthy of love. It means their love is no longer strong enough to meet you where you stand. And that realization, as painful as it is, also sets you free. Because you deserve consistency, you deserve care, you deserve to be valued, prioritized, and protected. Never settle for less. When he no longer shows love through his actions, it's not your role to chase, to beg, or to shrink yourself in hopes of reviving what's already gone. It's your role to recognize the truth, honor yourself, and make space for the kind of love that never stops showing up.